Welcome to It's Not Normal, the podcast, episode 1. I started posting videos on TikTok about 2 weeks ago that centered around my healing journey. I woke up a couple weeks ago and realized that I was struggling with who I was. I didn't feel like I had much of a sense of self or identity. And I have been suffering from pretty severe separation anxiety for the better part of the last 5 years. It used to be much, much worse. I've gotten much better, but I still struggled to do things on my own, just independently. And before I sort of endured this traumatic family event that sort of triggered the onset of this separation anxiety, I was very independent, and it was something that I prided myself on. It was a big part of who I was, and I felt like I had lost that somewhere along the way, and I didn't like that. And so a couple weeks ago, I went to the park, sat in my truck alone for the first time in almost 5 years. And it was very emotional. And I'm sure to a lot of people, something as small as that doesn't seem like a big step. But for anyone who's dealt with any kind of anxiety, you know that it is a very big step. And I wanted to document that day. I kind of wanted to mark that day and document how I was feeling, what was going through my head, and just sort of vent a little bit, just talk it out. And since I was alone, I didn't really have anyone to talk to. And so I decided to just make a video about it. And I've been posting videos every day since. And in those 2 weeks, I've gotten an overwhelming number of comments and messages from people saying that they relate to what I'm saying, or that what I'm saying is resonating with them, that they've been through the same thing, or they're going through the same thing, that they feel less alone now because I've been able to put words to this feeling that they haven't been able to explain. And coming from a house where mental health was never really talked about, it wasn't necessarily something that was frowned upon or negative. It was almost just as if it didn't exist. I knew about physical health, not as much about mental health. And so to come from that kind of environment to now sort of having this be such a focal point of my life, not only because of these videos that I've been putting out, but also because over the last 4.5 years, I've been sort of forced to unpack so many things about myself that are centered around my own mental health. It's quite a change, and it's really cool. Something that kind of didn't exist for me at one point to now be so prevalent in my daily life. With every video that I post, and even with these videos, I've been getting so many comments and messages and things that it's almost impossible to address every single one individually in a timely manner. And so I wanted to introduce sort of a new format for people who are really going through it, who maybe want to take it one step further, and just kind of a longer form, more conversational format. And, you know, with every video that I put out, and with all of these things in mind, I think of 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old me. If I had been scrolling on my phone one day and I saw someone talking about these exact things, these weird sort of nuanced behaviors and feelings that go along with narcissistic parents, that maybe something would have clicked for me then, and I would have understood the situation that I was in then and saved myself a lot of heartache. And the fact that maybe I'm opening some people's eyes to what's going on around them right now is such an incredible feeling. And it's something that I'm so passionate about because I know how difficult and confusing it is to have narcissistic parents, to have a relationship in your life that is supposed to be the safest space, full of unconditional love and support, be a very tumultuous space, to be a judgmental space, to to have the love sort of be conditional. It's very confusing, especially when you're dealing with these things as a kid. They don't fully hit you until you're out of it, which is most likely when you're an adult. And so over the last 4.5 years, I've really not even intentionally focused on unpacking all of these things and sort of tracing them back. I've almost been forced to, because with each day comes a new situation, a new experience, a new challenge, where now you kind of strip it down to the bare bones of whatever it is, an emotion, a reaction, and you ask yourself, okay, how do I feel about this? And then you ask yourself, was I taught to feel this way? Do I want to feel this way? And one of the most freeing things is learning that every behavior is learned. So everything that you feel, everything that you do has been learned. And if you can learn something, you can unlearn it. And you can teach yourself a new behavior that's more favorable to who you are now. That's more true to you. That's more true to the person that you want to be. And that is incredibly freeing. But for me, the freedom kind of came later. There's so much confusion and emotion and just discomfort that you kind of have to sit with and stare dead in the face first. And only through doing that will you really understand where a lot of these things come from, why you feel the way that you feel. And then once you get there, that's kind of your launching point for how you want to feel moving forward, because you can redefine everything. I guess I wanted to start off by talking about a video that I posted the other day. I just kind of want to get right into it, and I can talk for days about this because it's been years of my life at this point, not only dealing with narcissistic parents and understanding what it's like to be in that environment, but also going through all of the emotions of breaking from that and then healing from that. And I'm not done by any means, but I'm a lot farther along than I was 5 years ago. And if anything that I can say can help anyone in any capacity, then it's absolutely worth sharing. So I want to get into a video that I posted yesterday. And basically, the idea of the video was, if I was upset for whatever reason, and my husband came up to me and asked me, hey, what's going on? Why are you upset? And I said to him, well, I really like going to the beach, and I'm kind of bummed that you and I don't go to the beach together very often. And then a few days goes by, and he surprises me with a beach trip. There was a time when part of me wouldn't feel entirely good about that. I remember saying and thinking to myself when these kinds of things would happen, I don't want to go to the beach with you because I want to go to the beach. I want you to want to go to the beach with me. And that can be really confusing. When you grow up with narcissistic or controlling or emotionally unavailable parents, you benefit from anticipating their reactions. You benefit from doing things that you think they want you to do without being asked. You benefit from prioritizing their emotions and wants and needs over your own. That kind of prevents any kind of backlash maybe that you might have faced otherwise. The emotions, the mood of your parents, your narcissistic parents, without a doubt have a direct result on you as the kid, because they sort of govern the house, right? I remember saying and thinking that all the time, that my parents' mood governed the house. If they were in a good mood, it was going to be a good day. If not, it wasn't. And so you kind of are conditioned to do what they want, to kind of read their minds. And the more you do that and the better you get, the better things seem to be. But the negative parts of that come a little bit later, right? First, you start to anticipate that behavior from other people because you love and care about your parents and you want them to be happy, right? And that somehow has become confused with you trying to read their minds and anticipate what they want and when they want it and just doing it without them ever having to ask you for it. And so you start to expect these things from people in your life who are supposed to love and care about you. Friends, romantic partners, family. Why are they not trying to read my mind? Why are they not thinking about how everything they say and do affects me? Because that's not normal behavior. That's narcissism. I grew up being told that if you have to ask someone to do something, then it loses its meaning. If someone, loves you and cares about you, they should know you. They should know the things that you like, and they should just do them because they love you and they want to show you that they care about you. So they should just do them without you having to ask. You begin to expect that from other people. And the truth of the matter is, no one reads anyone's mind. It's not normal for people to try to read your mind. It's not normal to expect everyone to want to do the same things that you want to do or to share the same interests as you. And so if you expect these things from people, especially without communicating that to them, you're just setting the relationship up for failure. Now, the other part of this is when you grow up prioritizing somebody else's wants and needs and emotions so much, it leaves very little space for your own. And so what can happen is when you prioritize yourself, don't even bring in someone else yet. When you prioritize yourself and you do the things that you want, if you even know what that is, right? If you even know what you want to do specifically, prioritizing yourself, you start to feel guilty, almost like you're doing something wrong. Now you bring another person into the mix, right? And they're prioritizing you. That makes you even more uncomfortable. And you find yourself, okay, I'm at the beach and I love the beach. And yes, I'm happy about that. But I am hyper aware and overly concerned of whoever I'm with, of this person who surprised me with this beach day. And I'm consistently asking myself, okay, is he really having fun? Does he want to be here? Is there something else that we should have been doing? What does he want to do today? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really need to be here that bad. And so you feel really uncomfortable because all you're thinking about is how the other person is feeling. I got a few comments on this video talking about how if you have to ask someone to do something for you, it sometimes seems less genuine. And I understand that to a certain extent. It would be great if people could just read our minds and do and say exactly what we want them to do or say in the moment, and it's just perfect. And I'm sure that does happen sometimes, and that's awesome. But we can't expect people to know what we want, especially if we don't communicate that to them, because everyone is living a different life experience. There were also a lot of comments on this video asking what to do if you bring something up to your partner over and over again and they're not really doing anything about it. So I think this can kind of go in a couple different directions. It's very individual. I feel like this is almost sort of like a case-by-case basis sort of thing. But in general, if you bring this up to your partner and you tell them, hey, I would really like to go on a beach trip with you, for example, and I feel kind of uncomfortable prioritizing myself, and asking someone else like you to prioritize me makes me even a little more uncomfortable. So can you do me a favor, and maybe by the end of the month, let's try to plan a beach trip, just a day at the beach, the two of us, right? And it's really important to me. And if you can do your best to kind of focus on this and make this a priority of yours, because if I have to ask you a second time, asking the first time is hard enough for me right now. If I have to ask you a second time, then I might either not ask you a third time if it doesn't happen, because I feel like you just don't care about me and I'm going to be quiet and not say anything about it and pretend like everything is fine, because that's the behavior that you're sort of accustomed to. Or I'm going to ask you a second time, I'm maybe going to ask you a third time, and then maybe if on the fourth time we actually end up doing it, then I'm really going to feel like you're only doing it for me, that you don't want to do it, and the only reason that we're there is because of me, and that's going to make it that much harder for me to enjoy. So I think depending on how you communicate this to your partner, that'll say a lot about their response. If you just say, hey babe, we should go to the beach one day this month, and nothing happens, I wouldn't be so quick to just write that person off. If you kind of communicate to them something that you want to do and why it's important to you, how important it is to you, And not only is the event itself or the act itself, like going to the beach, important, but what the real sort of focus of the experience is you feeling comfortable enough asking them to do something that's more centered around you, and them making that a priority because they know that you feel uncomfortable even bringing it up. If you kind of bring it up and you say, hey, this is really important, let's do this, let's focus on this, and they don't do that, then that might not be the healthiest relationship for you. It might be smart to kind of look for those same patterns of behavior in other aspects of the relationship. Are they willing to put the time and effort in to kind of reach this common goal? And maybe they have some work that they need to do on their own before they're ready to be in a committed kind of relationship that requires so much effort. You can't blame people for the negative experiences that they've had in their lives. And if you're with someone and you love them and you care about them and you're both aware of that and you're willing to work towards that together, then that's a really beautiful thing. My husband and I did not figure everything out on the first time around. I did not say once, hey, I'd like to go to the beach, and then next thing you know, we're at the beach. It took multiple times of asking, but it also took me understanding why I felt the way that I felt, to really fully communicate why this was an issue for me. And not everyone understands that. Not everyone understands that you asking for something as simple as that can be such a big deal, and the further you get into this, into kind of unpacking all of this and tracing all of this back and understanding it yourself. Now, I can go to my husband and say, listen, I'd like to go to the beach with you soon. I would like for you to kind of like initiate a day. But it's difficult for me to ask this of you, and to kind of prioritize myself. And so can you make this a priority? And can you also maybe a couple times throughout the day give me some reassurance that you're enjoying yourself too, that you're having a good time, because I'm going to be hyper aware of how you're feeling. I'm going to be focused on you just as much, if not more, on me. And so can you maybe work with me here to give me a little bit more reassurance so that I can enjoy myself more also? I did get some comments on this video also talking about how people were scared if they asked someone to do something for them, then it would be used against them in the future. And this is like textbook narcissist behavior. Anything from giving you a roof over your head, to food on the table, to paying for your phone plan. Anything that they have done for you that was good or thoughtful or right is a weapon for them. It's something that they can use to hold over your head, to dangle in front of you when you've done something that they don't approve of, when they're in a bad mood, when you've upset them. And so this can be really debilitating when you're in a healthy relationship, because you should feel comfortable to ask things of your partner. But if that's kind of coupled with fear that maybe this is going to be used against me in the future, maybe this is going to be held over my head, maybe if my partner asked me to do something for them and I'm not feeling up to it, they could say, hey, remember the time I took you to the beach, and kind of use it against you in an argument. And so I think it's important in a situation like this to kind of look back at different times in your life. When else has someone done something nice for you, or gone out of their way for you, or really done anything for you? And then has that same thing been brought back up later on and sort of used against you, or used in an argument, or dangled in front of you? Has that happened to you before? Because if it has, then that makes a lot of sense for why you feel that way now. And so it's important to kind of separate that behavior from your current relationship, and to understand where that came from, and to know that not everyone's like that. And it's not healthy for people to be like that. So if that's continuing in your current relationship, then that's something that you should probably look at also. I will be back with another long video diving into another topic. And if there's anything, if anyone's watching this, and if there's anything that you would like me to talk about or address, or if you have questions or want to describe your own situation, anything, this is a completely open format. So I urge you to say something, say anything, because I'm here and we're all figuring it out together. So on that note, I am going to go finish my tea. I actually have to heat it up because it's really not hot anymore, and tea is really best drank or drunk consumed when it's piping hot. So thank you for sticking around, and I will see you next time.